And no fewer than 217 attacks were recorded in 34 states in Nigeria, resulting in 1,872 deaths, 714 abductions between January and April 2023. A non-governmental organization has revealed. This was contained in a report released by Stephanus Foundation, which detailed attacks on communities in Mangu local government area of Plateau State. The report highlights the urgent needs to address the underlying causes of the violence. Fatima Unjoku, the advocacy manager at Stephanus Foundation, at a press briefing in Abuja, said the alarming increase in violence across the nation is cause for concern. The organization is calling for prompt government attention to address the spate of insecurity across the country, which has resulted in the growing number of internally displaced persons.
We were able to go to IDP camp and visit some of the victims of the violence. And the things we saw in the hospital were really, really heartbreaking. I remember seeing an 8-month-old baby with two gunshot wounds at her back. You know, there was a 5-year-old boy who had gunshot wounds on his leg, and then he had machete attack on his hands. There was a lot of very gory things that we saw in the hospital. No group of people should consider themselves warlords, whether for real or imagined grievances. No group of persons should be entitled to take up arms. They are the ones who are complaining, they are the ones who are judging, and they are the ones passing judgment. In a civilized environment, a civilized climate like this, you agree with me that this is unacceptable.
On Friday the 15th, April 2023, some Fulani herders in the early hours of the day beat a Mokawul man to death on his farm. Very important. In a village called Morish, in Kombun district. This act sparked off a crisis between the Fulani and Mokawul people who reacted to the killing. While interventions and meeting kept both sides to sheathe their swords, at about midnight, when everyone was sleeping, there was an invasion of our communities in Kubat, Fungzai, and neighboring villages. This attack continued the following day, Tuesday, May of 16, 2023, spilling over to other communities. By Wednesday, May 17, 2023, the attack had spread to Kantoma, Mangul, and other neighboring villages, killing and burning houses. A mass burial was carried out for over 30 people in Kantoma alone, 55 people in Fungzai and Kubat on the same day, Thursday, the 18th of 2023. That day, a total of 85 people were given mass burial.
Very gory, as if human lives don't matter in this part of the world. But joining us in the studio is Air Commodore Abayomi Balogun, who is a former fighter pilot with the Nigeria Air Force. Thanks so very much, Air Commodore, for joining us on Newsnight. These are very gory tales. Look at the statistics, horrendous. 214 attacks between January and April in 34 states, and it has recorded 1,872 deaths. I mean, human life doesn't matter in this part of the world.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's so sad when you hear news like this, especially for those of us who have seen it live. It's not reading. We're part of the wars in the past, and we witnessed it. We witnessed the death of the enemy. We witnessed the death of our own people. So it's painful when you hear every day some people are dead in one place or the other across the nation. I think we need to rejig our approach to the security challenges that we have in Nigeria.
This isn't being rejigged every now and again, particularly when new service chiefs come on and others go and they come with his agenda and the rest.
Okay.
Why are we not getting it right?
Because we have really not done what we're supposed to do.
Okay.
In 2019, at the peak of that insurgency and insecurity, I keep saying it, the government then brought up a paper, National Security Strategy. That National Security Strategy was to guide us into how to combat our security challenges. And it says it's an all-inclusive approach where everybody will be part of it. It calls for synergy, it calls for collaboration and cooperation between the security agencies. That was 2019.
Yeah.
But then nothing happened. The president signed the document, the NSA authored it, and it was kept in the coolers. In 2020, to ensure, to give birth to that document, the Minister of Defense organized a 2-day workshop called Interagency Cooperation and things like that to bring everybody on this board. Unfortunately, we concluded that with all the big men that attended, all the resolutions, what did we do with it? Nothing. In 2021, the federal government, realizing the challenges at hand, again, attempted to rejig this document and organize, in fact, it was like 3 months workshop or retreat for some big men in Nigerian military and civil society to come up with the reform of the armed forces, a reform of the Ministry of Defense, so as to give them more bite to be able to execute that strategy that was contained in the NNS 2019. That went by. They came up with recommendations and everything, and nothing happened. The same 2021, Minister of Defense said, okay, we have to bring this back online. And about 25-member committee was set up to implement the recommendations of the original reform committee. And it lasted for like 90 days. When they finished, they came up with the implementation strategy. How do we go ahead? And I can tell you, for 4 years, from 2019 till now, that thing was never executed. I was part of some of it, so I know what I'm saying. Till today, there have been several resolutions, there have been several decisions, but do we ever implement them?
Great challenges before the present administration here now, because you've talked about, a 4-year period that is gone, and the Commander-in-Chief, President Tinubu, just gave some marching orders only during the week to security chiefs about synergy. That seems again to be absent, and that's why some people would say it's very difficult to counter terrorism, eliminate armed banditry, and what have you. Like we're saying in Benue and Plateau communities, escalating.
Yes. For some people, it is difficult to do. But for critical thinkers, it's easy.
Yeah, you're part of that community of critical thinkers, a community where you were a fighter pilot, you were in ECOMOG, you were in Liberia, Sierra Leone, to quell the infrastructural war there.
That's true.
Why are we finding it? You just wake up and people are annihilated like that, as if they are chickens or what?
It's the Nigerian factor. The Nigerian factor is that we don't look at competency. We look at other factors. Where is it from?
Parochial issues.
Which tribe is he? Does he have a name? So, if we decide to look for competency, they abound everywhere in Nigeria. And you can get them and they do the job. But then, if that competent man does not belong to the party in power, he will never get mentioned. So, he has the critical thinking ability, he can think deep, he can solve a lot of problems, but he does not belong to the mainstream. So he keeps his knowledge to himself. until we change that approach and say, gentlemen, forget politics, forget tribe, forget religion. We want the best for this job. Then you will get them. They are there. But we don't do that.
Okay, let's put the issue of parochialism aside, or nepotism and the rest. We know it's been a cankerworm in this country 63 years on. What do you think the present administration, led by Bola Tinubu, should be looking in curtailing the spate of insecurity around the country?
Yeah, okay.
Very quick fix solution.
Quick fix solution is go back to the drawing board.
But you have all the policy.
They are there.
You know, they are there, yeah. So
Go
what
back
again?
to them.
What are they drawing again?
Nothing.
Good.
Like the first workshop by the just outgoing Minister of Defense had everything. All the ex-service chiefs were there. All the ex-IGs were there. So many people were there, and they came up with vital decisions. After that, the board to reform the Ministry of Defense and reform the Armed Forces of Nigeria, those things are still there. Then the second board that says, let's implement all those recommendations which never took place. Gather all those papers, sit down. Unfortunately, this government has come up, the focus of the government is that combating terror, banditry, kidnapping through surveillance technology. Good. But then somewhere in the manifestos of the APC, he said they need to change the tactics and the strategy, which they must do. And if I may give my advice, we should forget what we are doing right now. Start a strategy or an approach that I call bottoms up. We have been doing from top to bottom, carrying all the weapons we can lay our hands on. Why don't we look at those guys at the grassroots and see that we can use them? And that's what the National Security 2019, that was what he said.
Community policing and the rest.
Community, it belongs to the community. When we start say something, when somebody sees something, say something. Have you enabled them to be able to see something and say?
So intelligence failure here.
Yeah, everything failed. Implementation strategy nil. So until we get to sit down and say, yes, we have good documents, we have reasonable decisions, let's make it work. And then we will.
Okay, let's make it work. Let the present administration rejig the security architecture, maybe a new roadmap, or implementing the old roadmaps and the rest, so that life and property as enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution can be safe. Thank you very much. Retired Air Commodore Abayomi Balogun, a former fighter pilot with the Nigerian Air Force.
Thank you very much.